Joining us now is Nazarina Minaya, the Senior Development Associate at the Ruth Ellis Center, a shared Detroit-supported charity and nonprofit, one of 299 charities and nonprofits in the Metro Detroit area, supported on the Shared Detroit platform from the Ruth Ellis Center, which has established a national reputation for quality and trauma-informed services for LGBTQ youth in the state of Michigan. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me, Tyler. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you as well, and thank you for coming on. First of all, can you just tell us a little bit about the Ruth Ellis Center, the services that it provides to LGBTQ plus individuals, and a little bit of the history of the organization as well?
Absolutely. So the organization started in 1999 after a 15-year-old was violently rejected by his family after coming out. Over a weekend, he was routed to some elders who got together and said, you know, we need a space that is hospitable, that is loving, that is caring for youth that might be enduring such an experience. And over that weekend, the Ruth Ellis Center came to be. Some 15 years later, we had the great honor of being able to open health and wellness services to provide for LGBTQ youth. And from then on, it's sort of been a moonshot. And so at the organization, we have an integrated healthcare model. And so your potential therapist is pretty much best friends with your potential physician. We provide a full gamut of primary care services. We also provide housing services. We also provide a low barrier access point called the drop-in. So if you need to do laundry really quick, if you need to check your email, if you need some new threads, if you want a quick meal, all those things you have access to in our drop-in center. If you're in need of access to IDs, obviously you're dealing with young people who have lost access to those types of things, given that they may not be home. And so if you need ID, birth certificates, we have wonderful care managers who can route you to those very necessary items. And yeah, it's just, you know, a really great place. I absolutely love working there. And there's just a lot to be done, right? And so we have the Ruth Ellis Claremont Center coming to you soon. It's permanent supportive housing. We've already started receiving referrals. It's going to be a 43-unit mixed development space. There are studios, there are one-bedroom apartments, all slated for LGBTQ youth and allies, as well as those who meet certain income restrictions at $16,500 will be able to live there. There's going to be laundry accessible there. There's going to be a health and wellness center there as well. And so we're growing. We're growing very quickly. And so we have a couple of locations, one at 95 Victor, that's our administrative building. That's also where the drop-in center and our housing department reside. 77 Victor, which is right across the street over in Highland Park. That's where health and wellness and behavioral health services are housed, as well as the Ruth Ellis Institute. If you find yourself either working for an entity or in a school and you would like for the staff or the students to get educated on what it means to be an ally and properly care for those in the community, that you would solicit that sort of assistance from the Ruth Ellis Institute, which is housed over at 77 Victor. We also have the Kofi House, and that is our Center for Lesbian and Queer Women and Girls. That is a specific department and a safe space just for those who identify as such, but all a part of the Ruth Ellis Center, and soon to be the Ruth Ellis Claremont Center will be joining our campus. And we're just incredibly excited to be able to provide such an incredible resource to our community and specifically to our LGBTQ youth.
And for those LGBTQ youth and allies that you mentioned and qualify for this housing at the Claremont Center or other housing provided by the Ruth Ellis Center, how can they go about applying for this housing or obtaining this housing?
So the best thing to do, honestly, would just be you would start at emailing us. It's as simple as emailing us and letting us know your need. So that's at info@ruthelliscenter.org. That email will be routed to the appropriate department to help and support you.
We're joined by Nazarina Minaya from the Ruth Ellis Center, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. More information, of course, on ruthelliscenter.org. That's ruthelliscenter.org, or by calling 313-252-1950, 313-252-1950 for more information on their services and to get involved. And so you mentioned so many of the programs that are available through the Ruth Ellis Center and how people can participate in them. Who is facilitating these programs, and is there capacity for people who are LGBTQ individuals or allies or anyone in the community that would like to help facilitate these programs and these services to volunteer with the Ruth Ellis Center?
Oh, there's always opportunities to volunteer with the organization. Currently, just due to how iffy sort of COVID has made accessibility to the space, we've only allowed volunteer opportunities for the most part from our corporate partners, because typically they come in groups, and we have a lot of beautification projects that we're working on currently just because our campus is growing. In terms of who is facilitating these different programs, we just have an incredible staff, an incredible, knowledgeable staff. In terms of like our health and wellness center, our main one at 77 is guided by the Henry Ford Health System, currently pediatrics. Once Ruth Ellis Center Claremont opens, that will be facilitated by adult medicine provided by Henry Ford Health. Our behavioral health department is headed by an incredible psychologist. We also have a PhD in psychology that works there. We also have a large swath of MSWs and LLPs that support our outpatient therapy programs. And we have other programs, including our family acceptance project that is working with families to keep them together when the state is involved with the youth and understands that the disruption in the family is due to the young person's sexual orientation, gender identity, and/or expression. Our housing department is also headed by a wonderful social worker and some incredibly knowledgeable individuals who have worked in the space for many, 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 many years. And so we just have an incredible staff that is very fortunate, and much of the staff is also a part of the community. So it's really important to us as an organization for our young people to see people with whom they can very closely identify working in the positions and supporting them. And I can say for the organization, that is sort of very true to our hearts and very much about, what we're about. Even right now, our co-interim executive directors both identify as part of the community. And of that, we're very proud.
More information can be found on ruthelliscenter.org. That's ruthelliscenter.org. And that point is so important, to have people in the community that are providing these services, because they know how important these services are, and they know, more importantly, beyond just the general importance of providing these services to those in the LGBTQ community, especially the LGBTQ plus youth, they know how stigmatized and how preventative these services are in the general community as well. And so speak to the importance of that in the services that are provided by the Ruth Ellis Center, particularly for trans youth, because so many medical services, especially psychological services, and especially in the times that we're in, are refusing to care for these individuals despite their oath to care for all individuals, regardless of their backgrounds.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So gender affirming care and trauma informed care is very much a foundation of the services that are provided by the center. When we're talking about trans youth specifically, just given the large swath of legislation that has come out across the country, really singling out these young people. I remember I was reading a report not that long ago that, there was a ban, on a transgendered girl who, was wanting to play sports, and literally, it was literally just the one child that was going to be impacted by this law, which was just so, you can't even understand how dehumanizing that is to hear, for other children who identify as such. And so understanding really sort of the constant attacks of not just LGBTQ children, like in general, but also non-binary and especially trans youth. It's understanding the world that we live in, and which is why we provide the services that we provide. I'm not saying that every child is going to be rejected, and that's not the experience of 100% of the children that we and the young people that we deal with, but it is a very real part of the experiences that a lot of the young people have had. And so understanding that, it's incredibly important to us to provide services with the understanding that this might be a part of the fabric that makes this young person who they are. And gender affirming care, it's just so essential. And some people think, this is literally just something for trans youth, but all of us are doing gender affirming things every day, right? Like, I just did my eyelashes. And that's just because I wanted to feel pretty. Everyone should be allowed to have the opportunity to feel pretty and to feel like 100% of who they are. And it's really, gender affirming care is about respect. It's about respect and meeting someone where they are. And it is foundational to not just the care that you'll receive in the health and wellness center. It's not just the care that your therapist is going to give you and your doctor, but literally everyone you encounter at the center, and anyone who identifies with the center, people who support us, just know that is the care. Those are the kinds of communications. Those are the kinds of encounters you're going to have with people in the space. We live to affirm. We live to affirm young people, no matter how they identify. We live to affirm our community, and not just people within the LGBTQ community, but everyone who comes into contact with us. It's essential. We're living in really, really different times.
We are.
And it's just really important to understand that, there are sort of layers to the trauma that we've all been enduring. We've all sort of been enduring this collective trauma of a pandemic. And then with the recent mass shootings, it's just so important for us to be kind to one another. And that's what gender affirming care is all about, and trauma informed care. It's just understanding the world that we live in and how someone's experience, though it might differ from yours, there are ways to approach people that you might identify differently than, in ways that make them feel like you are seeing them 100% and holistically. And that's what the center is all about. It is very much our foundation. It is very much about, the principles of how and why we do the work that we do. And I thank you so much for bringing that up, because it's just so important to address, especially now.
It's a matter of recognizing and respecting people's humanity. And that's so incredibly important. And unfortunately and disturbingly, it seems to be something that so many people don't want to have the capacity to take on themselves and support in our communities. Nazarina, before we let you go, we have just another minute left with you. I want to give you an opportunity to speak on some of the events that are coming up through the Ruth Ellis Center that will help to support these efforts.
Absolutely. And so for the entire month of June, we have our virtual walk. It was, born from the pandemic. We just wanted people to have an opportunity to get out there while feeling safely and just sort of proudly affirming the LGBTQ community, and particularly LGBTQ youth. You can come to our website, ruthelliscenter.org, and learn all about it. You can start a team, start fundraising, just get out there, get your pride flags out there, get your ally shirts on, get your pride shirts on, and just have a good time. It's not just about walking either. Any space that you find you've got some time and you can loudly and proudly affirm our community and our young people, that is what the Ruth Ellis Legacy Walk is all about. And then to kick off Pride further, on Friday, June 3rd, we have Catfight for the Crown. It's an amazing, completely over-the-top, risque drag show we're super proud of. Doors open at 5:30. It's until 11. You can go to ruthelliscenter.org also, check out our events, and you can purchase tickets. There's going to be food. There's going to be glamour. There's going to be a ton of fun, some beautiful individuals, some incredible talents. It's going to be a good time. Masking is optional. We absolutely want you to feel safe if you attend. It's going to be at the Fillmore Detroit, and that's on Friday, June 3rd. And then just check out our social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, Ruth Ellis Center. We've got more in store. Pride is basically our first holiday season, if you will, and we're just super excited to be able to affirm our community and enjoy the presence of one another as the summer begins.
Nazarina, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.